we got ah, French toast. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. And we got what else we got? Shout out to Jules. Shout out to Jock. Shout out to Andrew. Lisa D, who is I got her picture on a milk carton right now. Um, anyway, so I show you this not to brag about my delicious breakfast, but let you know this got to be a short one. I'm gonna try my best because my food's gonna get cold, and we don't want that, right? Matter of fact, let's keep the oatmeal in the bag. Put this on top of this. Oh, it's knocking things over. Okay. This is taking up a little bit too much time on my video. So let's talk about the stalker guy. For those of you guys that are not aware, there was a weirdo. Oh, look at this. This is that. This is what happens when you do live videos. I'm getting assaulted by, I guess those are ducks, I guess. I don't know why they're coming over here as soon as I start doing my live stream. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird, just a little bit. Is this like an attack? Am I being attacked right now? Okay. Anyway, so a little refresher for those who are not aware of the original situation. The guy that I kept seeing sitting in front of my house in his car. And once I noticed the frequency of this, and I noticed like he's just sitting in there, no one gets in the car, no one gets out, I'm like, what's this guy doing? Why is he in front of my house? I know the neighbors, I know the tenants nearby. We're a very close-knit community, we know each other. We look out for each other, so we know the strange cars, you know, because we know each other's cars, right? So then I started paying more attention. That's when I noticed the patterns, 10 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at the most, multiple times a day. Like he could be there right now. In an hour, he'll be back again for another 10 minutes. Could be 30-minute interval, could be 3 to 4 hour interval. He might be seen there 3, 4, maybe even 5 on a busy day, you know, 5 times sitting there for 10 minutes at a time. So that's, what is 5 times 10? That's 50 minutes sitting in front of my house. Really weird. Then his car switched up to another car. It was like some kind of sedan of some sort. And I'm thinking like, this guy's like, I'm thinking The Wire. I'm an old school guy watching The Wire back in the day. I'm thinking The Wire, this guy's got the stash and he's trying to switch up vehicles. But then he goes back to his original vehicle and I said, okay, maybe that was just like a loaner or something. So I say, okay, whatever. Then I speak to my tenant. He tells me when he moved in, that guy was there doing that. That guy's been there for a year, living there for a year. So that means it's going on at least 2 years that this guy's been doing this. Wow. And the guy, by the way, all kinds of hours of the day. In the middle of a snowstorm, late at night. Like late at night when people are struggling to find parking spaces and everyone trying to get off the street. Sitting in front of the house, blasting his music, smoking. So I started to recognize that it was not just exclusively my house, so that was a good thing. So you can't take it too personal. He would rotate his spots, right? So when he's not in front of my house, he's in front of somebody else's house, right? Down the block, the other street, in the middle of town, all over. And it got to the point where it's so bizarre that I was I was 5 blocks away at the laundromat. I pull up, I park, I open the trunk, take the clothes out, and as I'm doing that, I like to have a good situational awareness, not a panicky like but I like to know what's going on around me, right? Maybe that's the military in me. So as I'm taking the clothes on, I just take a glance across the street, and who do I see? This is like a bad sitcom. Who do I see sitting in his car across the street, just sitting there in the car, sort of on the side of a store, right? Not even really in a parking space, just sitting there, like him, of course, right? So yeah. Then we find out, due to the many incidences with, my criminal tenants slash squatters, a lot of interactions with the police. And this guy comes there so frequently. I see him more than my own tenant. I see him more frequently than most people. So naturally, we have incidents happening in the house, and the police show up, and of course he just happens to be there. And it's so many times. Like I'll be in the backyard, and I walk up to the front, bam, there he's. And it's not that I've been outside all the time, right? I could be inside for most of the day, and then I go outside for like 10 minutes, and then he just so happens to be there at that, within that time frame. One time I was thinking, I can't make this up. I was thinking about setting up a camera. I want to document what he's doing, and I'm standing in front of the yard, and I'm just thinking like, where's a good place to put this? And I kid you not, as I'm standing there, within a minute or two, I look down the street, and who do I see rolling up? The same dude to park right in front of my house. As I'm sitting there thinking about putting a camera to monitor what he's doing. You can't make this stuff up. Like the incident where the police came again. With the water, remember the 60,000 gallons of water that were wasted? So I went down to the police, and we're gonna sort that out, fill out the report, and then they gave me a ride back to the house. And as I pull out of the car, who's there? Of course, you know the answer, him again. So while they were there taking statements, mentioned where I was laughing with my tenant, like this guy, I can't believe he's there. And they're like, oh yeah, something, I don't know what they said, but it was like they were aware of him. I'm like, oh wow, you're aware of him, so what's the deal? And they wouldn't tell us. They were just like, what do you know about him? And he says nothing good. So the police are aware of him, and all we could get from them is nothing good. Okay, so the guy looks really, really shady, doing shady stuff. And now we talk to the police. Police say they're aware of him, and what they're aware of is nothing good. So negative police interactions, apparently. Of course, right? He's a guy with a ski mask and a duffel bag, looking over his shoulder, running down the block as the alarm goes off. It's like, hello. Anyway, so then I was talking to another neighbor who's been there for decades about this guy. And he's kind of old and he got confused, so I'm not really sure which is accurate, but according to him, again, he was a little bit confused. Either this guy was a big time drug user, he was big time on drugs, really messed up, or a drug dealer. I mean, looks like a duck, walks like a duck. Oh man, looks like a duck, walks like a duck. Holy crap, right? There you go. Anyway, so I don't know, maybe he's a drug dealer, drug user, one of the two, but apparently, as the police said, very accurately, nothing good. So he's still doing it. Now, the other thing that's weird is he drives 2 vehicles. That one time was limited where he switched vehicles, but now for months now, it's been 2 vehicles that he rotates. It's like one's white and one's Is it black? No, it's silver and one is black. Same type of vehicle, different brand, different make. So you think, how can someone? Oh, it gets even worse. It's so bizarre. One day I was in the back and an Airbnb guest tells me there's a guy looking who wants to rent the apartment. I'm like, okay. Next thing you know, as he's saying this to me, I see this guy walking down to the back of the house. I'm like, holy crap, this guy is on my property. Again, that's the other thing. He started coming on the property. He would be drinking stuff. And I mean, good that he's not littering, but he's trespassing, right? He would be drinking stuff, and then he would get out of his car, and he would just walk onto my property, and just throw the bottle in one of the trash cans. So again, it's good he's not littering, but dude, you're loitering, you're doing some real stalker behavior, and now you are trespassing, right? Anyway, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? So he coming on the property. Oh, the apartment. So he comes to me and he's like, yeah, I used to live in this house, blah blah blah, and this and that, and I'm looking for an apartment to rent. So he asked me how much. I tell him, oh, that's too much. Now, my house is on the most expensive part of town. So someone who's sitting in their car all day, I mean, I don't know how you make money doing that. I mean, there's ways to make money doing that, but I don't know how you really make money doing that. But somebody who's sitting in their car all day, I don't know that you make enough money to be living in the most expensive part of town, right? In an area where a lot of people don't make that much money, right? Why would why would you be able to afford to live on the most expensive part of town when there's people who don't sit in their car all day, who work, right? Every day they 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, they get up and they gotta commute, they go and do whatever they're doing while you're sitting in your car listening to music, smoking. How does that entitle you to live in the most expensive part of the neighborhood? I don't understand that. Like, what, with what money, right? Um, Ironically, he tells me a story about how when he used to live in the house, about how he lost his job or something and he couldn't pay the rent, and he basically got kicked out. So it's just like you're sitting in your car all day, right? Creeping people out, and then you're trying to rent an apartment in the most expensive part of the neighborhood. And back in the day, you used to live there, it would have been much cheaper back then. And you couldn't pay back then. Like, has anything changed? I mean, it's just like everything makes sense. You're behaving in a very suspicious manner. Then we find out, yeah, you're a really suspicious guy. And then you're not, behaving in a way that shows that you're like a productive person to where, you know, I don't know, man. It's just so bizarre. And what was the other thing about it? So, so we thought about, oh, maybe he's living in his vehicle. Like he's living in his vehicle, but he has two vehicles. Like what? Things just make none of this makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. Anything you try to like, um, what's the word? You try to come up with, it's like it doesn't follow. He's living in his car, all two of them. Just him. I mean, I'm trying to think of like, I'm trying, man. Like maybe it's a family and one car is not enough, so it's like two cars is the equivalent of a bigger home for a bigger family. It's just him. It's always just him. No one's ever in the car with him. But he has two cars. They're not very cheap cars. They're not super new. They might be like 10 years old, 13 years old, something like that. But they're not low-end vehicles. At least one of them we considered somewhat luxury, not like Mercedes-Benz, but higher end. Um, I don't understand. And then I started noticing that it seems like a lot of times I see his vehicle parked in a nearby apartment complex. So I'm like, oh, this is where he lives. But if he lives here, why is he always sitting in his car all over the neighborhood? if the cops are aware of him, like if he's doing drugs and stuff, and they're aware of him, and he's so obvious. Like, I mean, just like how I'm noticing him, and well, the cops are aware of him, right? I'm sure a lot of people are aware of him. The cops are getting a lot of calls from different people. Who's this weirdo sitting in front of my yard? So if you're so, what's the word? Loud, right? You can't be doing like sneaky stuff. How could he be? I mean, if you're a drug dealer, I mean, how does that work when you're driving the same vehicles, you're doing this for months, you have a very predictable pattern, you're all over the neighborhood, everyone's seeing you, it's so super visible. Is it hiding in plain sight? I don't get it. But hiding in plain sight, the cops wouldn't be aware, and they wouldn't be like, oh, nothing good. Like hiding in plain sight and the cops are aware is like, oh, that's just a guy. He works an ice cream truck. Yeah, it's cool. He's an okay guy. You know, he's friendly, whatever. Like they have no idea the ice cream truck guy is like a drug dealer. No, he's like nothing good. So they know of him for bad stuff, but yet he's roaming around. You know, admittedly, I've never seen him actually commit a crime, but it's just super bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre. It makes no sense. And just for some people that don't understand, because some might say, you know, who cares, right? Mind your business. This guy's a big security threat, right? You know, there's a reason why we have curtains in our windows, right? There's a reason why, you know, when we close it, when we lock up our cars, we put our valuables onto the seat, stuff like that. There's a reason why we don't just expose all of our information to everyone, right? We don't just give our phone numbers to everybody. We don't give our address to everyone, right? When you give out too much personal information, that's dangerous, right? So you don't want some stranger who, on top of being a stranger, he looks super suspicious, to know your business, right? Know who you are, when you're leaving, when you're there, when you know, all this kind of information. This exact kind of information that, you know, people who would do things like rob you, you know, the information that would be valuable to them. And he might be relaying information to other people that might do it. I mean, there is one explanation that could make sense. The guy's just an ultimate weirdo, maybe mentally whatever. But how does a mentally whatever guy have two vehicles? Are they paid off? Okay, well, who's paying the insurance? Who's paying the maintenance? Where's that money coming from? Right? If he's some mental basket case, like, where's the money coming from? I don't get it. But I'm about to go online and buy a no loitering sign. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think is up? What do you think is really going on? I don't know. Nothing to say. Let me eat my food before it gets cold. All right, guys. This is Baby Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click on the like button. Subscribe. Smash that bell. Be well. Shadow banned. I am shadow banned. But not to you. If you're hearing me say this, it's not shadow banned to you. Right? Because if it was, you wouldn't be still listening. Comment below.